Welcome to Betting with Brooke and Benny here at FTN Bets on the FTN Network. Let's get all the housekeeping out of the way first here, Brooke, and then we can have some fun here. You guys can always follow the video over on YouTube. It'll be on the FTN Bets or FTN Network YouTube page. You can follow it. It's going to be in podcast form as well over on iTunes. Just go to iTunes, type in Betting with Benny, and you'll be able to pick up this episode probably sometime later today once we get it uploaded and everything going there. You can follow me over on Twitter at BennyR11, and you can follow my lovely and talented co-host, Brooke Cromer, over on Twitter as well. Brooke, why don't you say hello and give everybody your Twitter handle? And then I want to ask you a question. I want you to tell me how much fun it was to be at that Rams game this weekend.
Hello, I'm Brooke Cromer. Add me at Brooke Cromer on Twitter, Instagram, all of it. And oh my God, the Rams game was so fun. You have to check out SoFi Stadium. It was an experience in itself. Get there early, walk around the stadium. They have every plant that's native in California. Obviously, of course, not the redwood tree because it wouldn't fit, but it was so cool. It was incredible. There's a Corona Beach bar. What's not to love? So great experience. We had a great halftime show. And of course, the Rams won. So who's not happy about that?
Well, you did say every plant in California. I don't know if it's every plant in California. There's a couple of those that I don't think they would be growing in the stadium. But we digress, and we can get to that later. I will say I was looking at the pictures that you posted up on Instagram. That stadium looks absolutely amazing. So I now have two new things that I added to my bucket list last week. That being one, and going to Las Vegas to see a game there being the other one right now. So
yeah, that place looked electric. I think that one had a little bit more high energy than SoFi, but SoFi will get up there. They'll get there.
I figure at this point I'm gonna have to do a West Coast trip at some point and just go like stadium hopping and see if I can catch like a Thursday night game at one place, maybe a Sunday game somewhere else, and then hopefully get lucky and have like a Monday night game. Just try to get it all out of the way in one weekend, because if I go for any longer than that, my wife will kill me. But again, I digress. Let's get into the important stuff today. We're going to talk about some of the games for week 2 here. There's a couple games that Brooke is interested in. If you guys want my thoughts on the game, again, go over to the YouTube channel. I broke down all the games on Sunday, first look at the lines to see where they are. And I'm glad that I did, and I'm glad that I got some of those bets in, because one of the first games we're going to talk about here, Brooke, the line has already moved. As a matter of fact, the line almost doubled since where it was when it opened. And the game I'm talking about is the New England Patriots taking on my New York Jets. The line opened on this game at 3.5. It's up to 6 already right here. You got 2 rookie quarterbacks going, Mac Jones for the Patriots, Zach Wilson for the Jets. Unfortunately, as a Jets fan, I watched that entire game last week. And I say unfortunately because I know the score was 19-14. The Jets didn't play that bad, but they were down 19-0. Both of those touchdowns kind of came in garbage time. Wilson did not look good at all in the first half. I don't know. I feel like it's going to be a very long season for me and my fellow Jet fans here. What's your take on this game with the 2 rookie QBs going up against each other?
I have a feeling you're right about that. Jets offense ranked last in the NFL this year. Patriots, they're 5th from last. So look, I don't think this is going to be a very defensive game, obviously. But, they both played really well week 1. So they could make plays. They're playmakers. But Zach Wilson, a little bit of a struggle compared to Mac Jones. I have Patriots winning this one. Obviously, I'm just looking at the head coaches at this point because rookie quarterback, terrible offenses. I'm not betting on much this game.
I mean, for me, it really comes down to the Patriots defense, right? Like that is the difference in this game. If you just had the 2 offenses going up against the same defense out there, I would think it would just be one of those, like, whoever gets the lucky touchdown here or there is going to wind up winning, because really neither one of these offenses looked great moving the ball in week 1. But to me, the big key difference here, the Patriots had so many guys last year that opted out with the COVID and everything going on. And people forget that, all those guys are back now. So this is back to being one of the top 5-10 defenses in the league. They should be a top 5 defense. I don't want to get them there yet. Listen, Miami's offense is not bad. They held Miami's offense to only 17 points. Like, the defense did their job. The problem was they didn't put up enough points on the other side. Not that I think they're going to go out there and put up 35 against the Jets, but you know what? I don't think the Jets can put up 20. So if you can get to 20, you're going to wind up beating the Jets this year with this offense right now. And I do think that the Patriots can get to 20. might even be 3 defensive touchdowns the way the Jets looked last week. So we'll see how that happens. But I agree with you. I think the Patriots win this game. I don't want to lay 6, though. 6 is a lot of points to lay on 2 teams that aren't going to score. I don't mind laying 6 with Kansas City, who's going to put up 35 points.
Right.
I mean, if you lay 6 with the Patriots, who put up 16 in week 1, you're basically asking that defense to hold the Jets to like 10. And, as bad as the Jets offense is, in 60 minutes, if you can't score 10 points, you probably shouldn't be in the NFL. So with that being said, let's move on to a game that's going to be a lot more exciting. We go from 2 of the worst teams and 2 of the teams that looked the worst in week 1 to 2 of the teams that looked great in week 1. We have the Eagles, who absolutely blasted the Falcons. I will admit I was wrong. I had the Eagles in the bottom 5 of my power rankings. I moved them way up after that game. I moved Atlanta down. And I try not to overreact after 1 week, but the Eagles really impressed me there. Now, I don't want to give them too much credit because I don't think Atlanta's all that good. But still, to go out there and beat Atlanta as impressively as they did makes me believe that I was way too low on the Eagles to start the year. They take on the San Francisco 49ers team, who that game looked a lot closer than it really was, right? It was 41-33, I think, was the final score against Detroit. But they were up 3 touchdowns in the third quarter there. Detroit had 2 garbage touchdowns at the end to kind of make it interesting. And this is one of the reasons why we do the first look video for the spreads. That spread opened at 7.5. If you took it on Sunday when I did the video or Monday when the video came out, you got to win. If you waited till later in the week when that spread moved up to 8.5 or 9, you ended up with a loss. This week, the San Francisco spread opened at 3, creeped up a little bit here to 3.5. So you lose the protection of the push on the field goal. And you know what, Brooke? I don't even think you care, because if I'm right, aren't you on the other side of this game?
I am calling for an upset this matchup. I love an upset, so I'm always going to call one for each week. I have to. But Jalen Hurts and that offense, they put on a show. They were active. The defense was active, getting to the quarterback. I have some faith in this Eagles team. It might even be wishful thinking because I need my Rams to be at the top of the division. And San Fran, they looked pretty good against the Lions until those last 2 minutes, like you mentioned, 16 unanswered points by the Lions. And that's Jared Goff, who you already know my thoughts on him. So I don't know. I'm going with the Eagles by 3 in this matchup.
Yeah, let me just add, Raheem Mostert news came out. Bad news for Raheem Mostert owners and everybody who was a big fan of him. News came out this week that he's going to be out, and now it looks like he may be out for the entire season. So that's definitely going to be a problem for them. Elijah Mitchell, somebody that a lot of people are putting fab bids on this week, and probably rightly so. It looks like he's going to step in there. I will say this, Trey Sermon truthers, now is the time. If Trey Sermon does not get in there this week, you guys definitely overdrafted him at the beginning of the season, as I told everybody they were. So there you go on my little Trey Sermon rant there. Let's move on. Yeah, let's move on and talk about the next game here. We got the Denver Broncos and the Jacksonville Jaguars, right? So I don't really know how much we learned about the Denver Broncos last week, because they were expected to beat the Giants, and they did beat the Giants. Did they look great doing it? Not really. They lost Jerry Jeudy in the process for, I don't know, probably 4 to 6 weeks, I think is the initial diagnosis with him. I think it was something with the ankle or the leg. I forget exactly. But he went down in like the third quarter of that game. Not that it mattered. Like, they were beating the Giants anyway there. Jacksonville, though, I think we did learn something about. I had Houston as the worst team in my power rankings. After last week, I had to move Houston up because they put a hurting on Jacksonville, who did not look all that good out there. It was a rough week for rookie quarterbacks. None of the rookie quarterbacks really fared all that well or came away with any wins there. The one thing I will say is the line opened at 6, and it's held at 6 here. So now the Jags, 32nd team in my power ranking, I'm never going to be betting on them. But is 6 points too many for us to bet against them against Denver, or is the Denver side the one you want to be on here?
Look, I'm going with Denver in this game. The Jags are they're just not good. I don't think they're going to be good. Trevor Lawrence had up and down in his debut, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 28 of 51 passes completed, 332 yards. It's okay. But Jags defense, terrible. They let Tyrod Taylor and the Texans, who you said worst team in the NFL, rack up 449 yards. That's kind of disgusting. So Jaguars, as bad as we thought. Broncos didn't show us much, but I think that they have a little bit of confidence in Teddy Bridgewater. I love the guy. So I have Broncos in this game. Jags, not good. Not a good
listen, like you said, if Tyrod Taylor is going to light a team up for 400 all-purpose, total yards and everything.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think
Geez.
Teddy Bridgewater can do it as well. It's not like Teddy Bridgewater is a horrible quarterback. He's a league average guy, and Tyrod Taylor is arguably below league average. So if a
I'd
below
say.
league average guy is going to light up a defense, and a league average guy should be able to do pretty much the same thing there. He does still have a bunch of weapons, even though they lost Judy. You still have Sutton. You still have Noah Fant. You still have the 2 running backs there. Melvin Gordon had a big run. Javonte Williams got a lot of touches. So they have enough on that offense. And then, I mean, again, the defense for Jacksonville, you got lit up by Tyrod Taylor. Yeah, there's not much more we could say here. So, for me, I'm the same way here. The last game, I don't know. The Patriots, I don't know if I want to lay 6 with the Patriots. I have no problem laying 6 here with Denver. I think Denver covers that number pretty easily.
I agree.
So let's talk about the next game here. This one is interesting, right? We have the Tennessee Titans against the Seattle Seahawks this week. The Titans looked horrible in week 1. They got absolutely blasted by Arizona. I think there are 2 things at work here, though. I think Arizona might be better than we thought they were. The offense looked great. Their defense looked absolutely great against Tennessee too, which was the thing I wasn't expecting. Tennessee last year putting up, 30, 35 points on everybody that they play. They basically got shut down, that offense this year, with the addition of Julio Jones. So that was the thing that was a little surprising to me. I thought Julio would open things up a little more. They wouldn't be able to double AJ. They wouldn't be able to stack the box against the run. But honestly, none of that really worked out that way. Seattle went in and took care of business against Indianapolis last week. Indianapolis did not look good. I mean, you had Carson Wentz, who nobody even thought was going to play for like another month, and he was out there. I didn't think their line was all that great. I didn't think their defense played well. Indianapolis just didn't impress me at all there. Now, most people had the Titans as a better team than Indianapolis. The Titans had a shorter price to win that division. The Titans were supposed to win more games this year. So you would expect this to be a little bit of a tougher game for Seattle, although they do get the advantage of it moving to Seattle. The line here actually opened at Seahawks favored by 6. It's dropped in some places to 5 or 5.5. It's still a pretty big number there, but, it is moving in the opposite direction here. I think this game is really going to come down to Seattle's passing offense against Tennessee's passing defense. And I know you had some thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think Seattle, has one of the best downfield passing attacks in the NFL. They have new offensive coordinator, Shane Waldron. I think he has a lot to do with that. And then the Titans have one of the worst secondaries in the NFL. So that put together, I have Seahawks winning this game. I'd be a little scared that, Russell Wilson, DK Metcalf. I'm going with the Seahawks this game.
So let me ask you this question, because this is the thing that I'm struggling the most with here. Is I agree with everything you said on the Seahawks side, right? And I'm expecting them to put up some points through the air with the passing game. I really want to play the over in this game because most Tennessee games do turn into shootout, or at least last year, the last couple years, most of Tennessee's games, they end 35-42, 40-34, like just massive big numbers here. But God, that offense, how do you have an offense with A.J. Brown, Julio Jones, Derrick Henry, like all the weapons that they have? Ryan Tannehill has been very good since, he got away from Adam Gase. How do you have that offense not put up any points? And is this something that we should be concerned with going forward? Or do you think it was just, again, it's 1 week. I don't want to, there's so many overreactions after one game. But so far, it's the only game that we've seen, and it didn't look very good.
That's true. But hey, one game in, and maybe they're just trying to, pick it up, find their rhythm, find the momentum. I don't know. I think the Titans are kind of a wild card this year, so I'm excited. I can't bet against Derrick Henry. He's like a monster. He's huge, but he's not doing as much as I expected. So I just don't know. I think we're going to have to wait and see what the Titans do this year.
And also in Derrick Henry's defense, he's not going to have a big game when they're down by multiple touchdowns. That's just right. That's not, he's going to have his big game when they're up by 10 and they're pounding the run and he's getting 24 carries and just beating the hell out of linemen, backers, and any of those little defensive backs that try to come and tackle him high. Like that's when we usually see the big game. And then eventually he breaks one for like 75 yards and gets in the end zone. And, next thing you know, he's got 25 carries for $170 and 2 scores or something like that. Those games are not going to happen when they're down 2 or 3 touchdowns and they have to throw the ball the whole second half, which is what happened here. So Derrick Henry, probably a buy low candidate right now if you're a fantasy player. The Titans, though, I don't know. I can't buy low on the Titans. My number says to me that I should be on the Titans this week, but I couldn't pull the trigger on that bet.
Yeah.
All right, so
Yeah.
let's talk about the game that everybody's interested in and
Yes.
everybody's going to be watching, the Sunday night football game this week. The Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Baltimore Ravens. Kansas City squeaked out a win, come from behind against a very good Cleveland Browns team. Nothing for Cleveland to be ashamed of. I know Baker wasn't happy with that loss, and obviously players aren't going to be happy with that loss. You want your players not to be happy with losing a game like that. But I don't think that Cleveland did anything bad there. I think Cleveland played really well. Kansas City is just Kansas City. Like, you don't want to give the ball to Patrick Mahomes with a chance to win a game because he's going to win the game. He's going to find a way to do it. It's what they do. And as Tino will tell you, because him and I talked about this so much last year, one of the problems I have with Kansas City, they win all the time, but they don't cover. They're not a very good team to be betting on because they always get big numbers and they always wind up coming back and like making the play to win the game by 4 or win the game by 3, but the number's 6 or 7. This week, the number opened at 2.5. And that was before the Monday night game, though, before we got a chance to see the Ravens come out and play on Monday night. It's moved up to 3.5 now, which is something you don't see very often, where a book will open it up on one side of the field goal and move it to the other side of the field goal, which leads me to believe that this number should probably even be bigger than 3.5. So I am on the Kansas City side of this game. The number is low enough where I'm going to take a chance, and I'm going to say not only do they win like they always do, but I'm going to say they actually cover the damn number this time as well. Still pretty happy I got it at 2.5 earlier in the week, but even at 3.5, I'd be willing to take it. But just from a flat football perspective, what are you expecting from this Kansas City-Baltimore game?
I think this is the best game of the week. Clearly, there's a lot of crapshoots this weekend, but here we are. Sunday Night Football. I'm so excited. Ravens coming off of a short week. They just played, obviously, Monday Night Football. So that's going to give the Chiefs a little bit of a leg up. It does affect a lot. At least they're home, though. Unlimited storylines here, obviously. Andy Reid versus protege John Harbaugh. Then you got clearly Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson. Who doesn't want to see that matchup? I think the Ravens defense actually is equipped to handle Mahomes throwing downfield. You just saw it Monday night versus the Raiders. They were putting pressure on Derek Carr almost every single play. I was so impressed. It was really fun to watch, made for great football. I think that's why it did go so long of a game. But the Chiefs offense is ranked number 1, and I don't bet against Patrick Mahomes. Every single daily fantasy lineup, I had him in, won big money. So I'm taking the Chiefs per usual, covering the spread for sure.
Yeah, and again, after watching how many targets and how well Darren Waller did in that game, you got to think that Travis Kelce's in for a big day here this week as well. So the most expensive pairing you can make with putting Mahomes together with Kelce, but hey, as long as they keep putting up big numbers, it's going to keep paying off right there. And I do think that's going to be, I do think that that's going to be something that that we see quite a bit of on this game on Sunday night. All right, so we got one more game to talk about here today that we want to hit on, and that's the Monday night game. And I need your thoughts on this, right? We have the Detroit Lions taking on the Green Bay Packers. The Lions, Jared Goff had a big fantasy day this week. Those late touchdowns actually gave him, I think he scored like 29 or 30 fantasy points. He was one of the higher scoring quarterbacks on the week. I told people at the beginning of the year, I took a lot of Jared Goff in best ball, not because I love Jared Goff or I think Jared Goff's such a good quarterback, but I do think the Lions are going to be losing a lot of games this year. And if the Lions are losing and trailing in a lot of games this year, they have some players that can go out there and make some plays for them. Hawkinson's a good tight end. I've always been a big fan of Tyrell Williams. I hope he gets a bigger chance here. They have 2 running backs who can catch the ball out of the backfield in Williams and DeAndre Swift. There's going to be numbers that Jared Goff's going to put up because they're going to be trailing in a lot of these games. I expect this to be another one of those games that they're trailing, but I don't really know because the Green Bay Packers, as you and I predicted last week, got blown out by the Saints. I don't think we predicted the blowout, but we did predict the Saints win there. But man, Aaron Rodgers looked like it was gaff Aaron Rodgers on that game. He didn't look like he cared. And even in the post-game interview, it was kind of like, it's one game, we lost, big deal. And like it didn't seem like his head was in it. I don't know. I mean, the spread on this game, it opened at 10.5. It's up to 11. My number is actually 13. I have Detroit as one of the worst teams in the league. I still have Green Bay as one of the better ones. So I actually even think the spread is a little light. But, I mean, is Aaron Rodgers going to actually try this week? That's what I want to know. Because if Aaron Rodgers is going to try, then I like the Green Bay side of this game. But I don't know. I don't know if he's going to try. I mean, after last week, I'm just so I'm almost shell shocked. I don't know what to do with this. So what are you doing with this game? Try to help me out here a little bit.
Look, I was just listening to Sports Center and someone came on in the organization saying that Aaron Rodgers is not trying as hard as he used to. His heart is not in it. I think he's over it. I think that he has found out that there are things outside of football, Jeopardy, marrying a new wife, and traveling all over the country. There's things outside of football. I think that he didn't realize that. You don't realize that when you're that deep into the game.
True.
And now all of a sudden he's seen it, he's gotten a taste of it. I think his head is elsewhere. He threw for 0 touchdowns. When have we seen that? On top of that, Aaron Jones, running back, rushed for only 9 yards. They only put up a total of 229 yards on offense. That's pretty scary. Annihilated 38-3. It's not looking good. I don't have much hope that Aaron Rodgers is going to get out of this rut. I think that he can play through it because he's Aaron Rodgers. He's so talented, but is his mind going to be there? I just don't know. And then the Lions, they scored 16 unanswered points in the final 2 minutes. As we already said, they're feisty. They want to play. As soon as they hired Dan Campbell as their head coach, I think that they got a little feistier. He said they'll come at your knees. Like this guy, I think that he's getting a nitty-gritty football team together. So the Packers, they could be in trouble this Sunday. If they play as bad as they did against the Saints, I could see this one being a close one. So I don't know. I'm staying away from betting on this one. I like my money. I want to keep it. So this one scares me. But I think this is a wild card as well.
I love that you said staying away from this game because honestly, I think more people that gamble need to understand that the idea of gambling is you want to bet on things that you're pretty sure about. You want to bet on things where you have a reasonable expectation of how things are going to go. And that expectation is, a positive situation for you to bet on based on what the numbers are and what the spread is and everything else. As somebody who's very analytically driven, I don't know how to handle this game because you look on paper, you break down the numbers, you go back and look at the stats from years past and everything like that. The Green Bay Packers are way more than a touchdown better than the Detroit Lions. Like it shouldn't even be a contest here. But you have to actually factor in the other stuff out there, which is, listen, do these guys actually want to be out there? Does Aaron Rodgers actually want to go out there and play, the way we had become accustomed to seeing Aaron Rodgers play? I don't know the answer to that question. And because I don't know the answer to that question, like Brooke said, listen, the only people that make money passing are NFL quarterbacks and people who gamble on the NFL. So this is a perfect game for us to just pass on here because if everybody comes out and plays up to their fullest potential, Green Bay wins this game going away and nobody has any questions. But right now, for me, there are way too many questions on Green Bay to be laying 10.5 points. If there was an overreaction and this spread was something like -5 or -5.5, I would be like, all right, I'll take the Green Bay side. But you're asking me to lay double digits here on a team whose quarterback literally went into the post-game meeting and was like, nah, it's one game, we lost. Big deal. Like, you only get so many. I mean, I know they added one this year in the NFL, but you can't just give away games and be like, yeah, no big deal, doesn't really matter. They need to get the ship right, and they need to right that ship before I will put any of my money on them. Because right now I feel like you said, you just kind of be throwing your money. I work too hard for my money to just throw it away on Aaron Rodgers not caring about winning this football game right here or, something like that. So there you go. Those are the 6 games that we wanted to hit on here today. Brooke, anything you want to add before we sign off here?
Look, I'm excited. Week 2, let's get it going. We got 1 extra game this year, so I am pumped, but good week 1. It was fun. It was great. I'm excited to see who else gets upset this weekend because that was fun. That Packers Saints game, that was fun.
Yeah, I mean, and it was very fun for you. You got to go to the Rams game, which was a good one right there.
That one was great. It was like easy breezy. I was sitting back. I was not stressed. Those are my favorite games in life, honestly.
Yeah. Hey, listen, well, while I have you here, let's talk about the Rams for a little bit here. Matthew Stafford looked awesome.
I am pumped about some Matthew Stafford. He was making some completions that, to Van Jefferson, and like sometimes he would just throw it up, and I'm like, you're just hoping that someone's there. They were there, but I think that he's got some good weapons this year, some sleepers that I would pick up on. Definitely watch that Van Jefferson kid. I think he's going to have a good year. Cooper Kupp, him and him and Matthew Stafford have had a lot of connections lately, and they looked like even off the field they were becoming pretty good friends.
You know,
So
I was very upset after watching that game that nobody told me that Cooper Kupp and Matthew Stafford have breakfast together every day at 6 o'clock. If I would have known that, I would have played so much more Cooper Kupp on my showdown teams.
well, hey, keep with it this season, because I think you're going to see a lot more of that duo this year.
Yeah, and honestly, I think they're going to have to do it through the air, because I will say one thing that I was not impressed about the Rams with. I was impressed with everything else they did, with the exception of the running game. I think the running game is going to be their Achilles heel this year. So they got to figure that out right now and try to get that fixed if they want to go to the Super Bowl.
They had a really good run game coordinator there last year. So big shoes to fill, but we'll see if they can do it.
Well, hey, listen, I don't think it has anything to do with the scheme. I think it has more to do with, listen, any team that loses their starting running back before the season starts is going to have to come up with a plan B. And the plan B is never as good as plan A. Otherwise, it would have been plan A to begin with. So that's always something you got to keep in mind there. So for Brooke Cromer, I am Benny Ricciardi. This is Betting with Brooke and Benny on FTN Bets at the FTN Network. Please, if you guys have a chance, make sure you like and subscribe. This way you guys will be updated every time we have a new video coming out. And don't forget to go over there to iTunes as well. Like and subscribe over there. Leave us a comment. Tell us who you're on this week. Tell us which one of our plays you guys think we're crazy about. And tell us why we're right that Aaron Rodgers doesn't give up. And with that being said, we're signing off. Good luck this week, everybody.